So now we get into the second part of the discussion, which is more of a B2B and understanding the cyber threat intelligence. No darknet anymore. It's more of a cyber threat intelligence and what is it and how and why should a company take benefit of it. So to start with, one-liner introduction, why you are a right person to talk about this topic, or rather why we ended up talking to you on this kind of topic, and then what is a CTI?
No, I don't want to talk about that. Why I am a right person? That you decide why I am. But only thing is that I have been working in this domain for the last almost like 10, 12, I don't know how many years. I think more than 12 years. So I do have some sort of early movers advantage in this field. So I have seen this field grow from zero to what it is today. So maybe I can provide that kind of perspective.
From inside. Yeah.
Yes.
So what is this cyber threat intelligence?
So it's a very simple thing. Whenever people ask, there was time where you ask, what do you do? I do CTI, cyber threat intelligence. What does
Okay,
it
okay.
mean? What does it mean? So it's a very kind of a very simple terminology. I always give this analogy to all my people is that okay, leave cyber part apart, leave threat part apart. You identify what is intelligence. How does our intelligence is the country's intelligences do that? So they have people who work with the criminals. They have people who are part of the network of criminals. They gather intelligence from there and provides point inputs from there to the agencies so that before any attack, the information is there and these people can try and prevent. Same thing is in the cyber world. So
Right.
we do the same thing in the cyber world where we try to identify what are the likelihood of a specific attack based upon some chatter you have seen, some indicators you have seen, and how you can prevent that.
So
It's a preventive, proactive measure.
all this old movie style, somebody would come and say, "Sir, I have seen a boat coming and looks like it might have ammunition." That's the intelligence past.
Yes.
So in CTI, what that information would be?
So in CTI, what you see is that okay, we have seen this specific product has this vulnerability which has been released today. Now this vulnerability might have a higher impact. If you have a product with this vulnerability exposed on the internet, please ensure you patch this vulnerability on priority because threat actors are looking to exploit this
Kind of
as we
so
speak.
that's when the 0 day comes in, and then people, they provide this intelligence that okay, you are using this product and there's a 0 day, so now you have to fix it quickly so that
you don't get impacted.
Okay, but can't this be automated?
Automated
Like the company whose product I'm using, they only send me a notification.
So thing is that those companies do that as well.
Right.
But it is very difficult for you to reach that information to a right person. See, the information security teams or IT teams are big, and which contact is registered when you bought the product. So it is even if they send you a notification, where
Is it reaching the right person or
you don't know
not?
where it is going to land.
Yeah.
It has to reach to the right person who would take action immediately. That is important. It is not the case that every time my product is being tagged in the wild and I'm going to send you that information. I will
Okay.
send you information once I am ready with the patch.
So the kind of information beyond that intelligence would also be like the known malicious IPs which are causing the attacks these days, or maybe the file hashes and URL, the indicator of compromise. Those are also part of the feed which people get as a cyber threat intelligence feed when they get.
Yeah, definitely. So all these things are important because the IOCs are what you so called as indicators of a compromise. Now it could be IP address, file names, hashes,
URLs,
domain names. All these things could be useful. So you use these IOCs, ingest those IOCs into your SIM and SOAR platform, and try to block these from your gateway level devices, so that even if there is a incoming connection coming from or anything from inside network connected to any of these malicious IOCs, you can block it there itself.
right?
So that's how the Intel works. So Intel IOCs ingesting does not mean you are getting attacked. It is that somebody has been attacked somewhere from where these IOCs have been generated. That person has gone attacked, but use these IOCs into your infrastructure so that when this attacks comes to you, you are
Already protected.
Already protected. You are blocking.
So it's like somebody else faced the bullet already, so now you know what to protect
Yes.
from. but it is a continuous feed. People go for cyber threat intelligence feed, so that's feed you get this information. There are open source feed as well, and there are commercial feed as well. So how would you differentiate and value them differently?
See, there are so in terms of protection, what do you do for protection of your house? Right? You rely on only one lock? You ensure that all my doors are closed, all my doors are locked before I go out of the house. All my windows are closed. Everything is closed, and even on my main door, I put at least
Extra
one
lock.
extra lock, or I
There's a
put a
CCTV
safety day
camera on
or a
top of
safety day
it. There's security
door.
guard as
So all
well.
those things are something which I would set up. So from wherever I can get these inputs, it could be a open source feed or commercial feed. It is important. The commercial feed normally is important because open source feeds are normally delayed. Normally you, and because there is no SLA involved in that kind of thing, so you might get an IOCs, but that IOCs would be 5 days, 6 days old as well. But the
And
commercial
what matters
feeds,
is here is as fresh as it
yes,
can be.
for commercial feeds are normally coming from the vendors who have their sensors across the network, their own sensors. For example, it could be firewall vendors, IPS, IDS vendors, because they are installed across the network. They are seeing these attacks day in, day out, and they can identify and flag these IOCs and then protect their customers. So those commercial feeds are equally important.
So it's like there's one big company, even your company now, they are protecting their customers from their kind of an attack, or they are seeing an attack. They also give the feed to non-customers, or
Depends on how the product is designed. So
yeah,
a lot of companies do provide.
or share among each other.
Yeah, so sharing is also a process that happens only on the trusted networks. Normally, it does not happen with everyone. You don't share your intel with everybody
Okay, okay.
in the network. But definitely, like if you are talking about certs or these kind of
Agencies.
agencies, or their group ISACs are there. So where
So
they,
even at first we do that.
yes,
That threat
first
intelligence
kind of,
is
yes, yes.
shared amongst everyone, and then what we see that CTI is basically for a company who has actually matured to a level. Not everybody can jump into it. Recently, ISO 27001 said that you should take benefit of cyber threat intelligence. Now, a lot of small companies are also going for a 27001 kind of a certification. Is going ahead with a product which takes benefit of feed, CTI feed, and give them some protection sufficient for them, or is it only for a mature company to be worried on that level?
It all depends upon how your exposure is. If your internet exposure is on a higher side, you have a lot of assets which are exposed, then definitely it is suggested that to take kind of a greater measure, because cyber threat intelligence is not only feeds. Feeds is just one part
Just
of it,
one part of
right?
it.
And then there are external threats, which we in our previous talk we talk about dark web and all those things. So that is also equally important. You have to see whether either you are already compromised or not. So proactive
The first
measures is
thing is that
definitely yes, right? So you're compromised or not, so that you will come to know from these other ways of monitoring.
monitoring.
So there is an outside in monitoring which provides you that what are the threat actors looking at? What do I see about you in the chatter of between these actors? So that assessment is also equally important. So I would suggest a mix and match of these things based upon your use cases. If you do not have too much of internet exposure, you don't have too many web servers or systems exposed
Export on internet.
on the internet, then I would suggest just go for a company who would just do dark web monitoring and these kind of things. You don't need feeds protecting
But
it.
before even going to that level, what kind of maturity do you think the company should have? And I'm now talking on from MSME perspective and above. What kind of maturity they should already have before going for a threat intelligence support?
They should have a team which understand the value of intel which they will receive. What we have seen in our experience is that the people who are handling the inputs which we normally provides does not have enough vision to utilize that kind of data. A lot of times we have given very important data, but they have not acted on that.
Right.
So so in our traditional intel also we see that okay, we had given you intel, but you have not acted because of that attack has happened.
Has
So
happened.
those kind of things are very
Because
common.
there's no one in the team who was understanding it. It's like it's not writing a PO and writing a check that and you start getting something and automatically protected. It's not that you have to work on that.
So so what we normally say is there is a way of operationalizing cyber threat intelligence. There is a workflow which normally should be there for operationalization of intelligence. So there you should define your intel requirements and put those requirements to your vendor. That for me, these are my requirements which I would like to monitor, and this is what I would like to get
And
from
you can
you.
also say that, okay, this is my process by which I maintain the income and incoming feed, and then I would use it. Or
No, process is yours.
Yeah.
You can decide when you, because thing is that vendor might not be able to
match up that.
match up that, because vendor has to look at thousands of different customers.
Correct.
But you can define that these are the important things which I'm looking at. So once I'm evaluating you, I will look at these things whether you are providing these or not. So that is something which is important.
So for that, you have to have that knowledge and maturity.
Knowledge and
that, okay,
maturity
how
inside,
do I?
and there is a workflow of operationalizing it, because once you get an input, how you operationalize it? Have you integrated with a SIM or SOAR? Have you automated the process of doing it? Does a kind of a ticket automatically opens on your network to take care of that, or a human email comes to alert, somebody reads that alert and then
And
operationalize
then
it?
operationalize.
So there has to be a process to operationalize. Just getting intel for a compliance of ISO 27001 does not make any sense. But having that input and then operationalizing it is
using it and making more value out of it is important. That you have been in that startup mode as well, where you had to sell this thing to a lot of people. How would you generally go ahead and convince a business leader? Say, recently we wrote a book on cyber resilience. I'll show you the book, where this book is meant for the business leaders. So there you go. So the book is meant for the business leaders and how they should look at security. And interestingly, I don't have a chapter about how and where they should be looking at the threat intelligence and cyber threat intelligence to do it. So how would you add 2 pages in the book as a chapter of convincing a business leader that, okay, this is where you need cyber intelligence, why do you need it, and you should start it as soon as possible?
So definitely. So in terms of resilience, it is important for them to understand the big things. They have to understand the jargons. They need to understand. Okay, so I'm sure you would have covered incident response in that.
Yeah.
So that is really important, because they should know if I have to, if incident happens, then what should I do? A lot of people are clueless. From where should I start? From where should I look at the infection points? So in a similar fashion, what should I do so that this incident does not happen, is what the intel part is. So basically, if you ask me to add few things over here, is so what are the proactive measures which I can employ in my processes, so that these things does not these the I'm less susceptible to any attacks. Whether I have an attack surface exposure management, or I have a kind of an intel feed provider, or I have a darknet information provider, based upon whatever inputs I am getting, how do I operationalize? So again, it comes back to the operationalization. How do I operationalize these things? How do I ensure my staff is trained enough to tackle these kind of inputs and implement in their regular security process?
But most of the training or learning out of this is the typical set of videos available, a few online courses. There's no structured program around these.
At least you have these. In our
In
time,
nowadays, we don't have
we
it.
did not have that.
So I
Nowadays,
remember one of the very first series of lectures which we created long ago. You guided us in the whole 3 days program of how to do the cyber threat intelligence,
right.
from the TTPs to the motives to even including OPSEC. So people should look for those kind of courses and understand that, okay, what are the stuff and how they can operationalize
Definitely.
them.
Nowadays, a lot of content is already available. You have courses available in Udemy and a lot of these
Online platforms.
Those courses are available. So in our times, those things were not there. So at least you have those things available. Utilize them. Identify some specific theme. Have your teams trained. Have some sort of exercise. A lot of time, I think so red team, blue team exercise is also a good aspect to identify. Okay, if an attack is actually happening, a red team is doing it. Don't tell your
blue team
already.
Don't tell the
have
SOC
that
this is happening.
have that thing carry out, and then see how they respond.
Right.
So these kind of things are important.
And when we see this whole threat intelligence market as a product, as a startup and stuff, we see a lot of people working on one concept called as TIP, the threat intelligence platform, a web application where different feeds can be collected, different information can be collected, and then can be given to the end user. How would you qualify for CISO right now who's thinking of, okay, let me go into cyber threat intelligence use for my company and I'm planning to work on it? how do you define a good threat intelligence platform to be?
So tip is important for the companies who are subscribing to multiple threat intel providers, because it helps you to provide linkages
Right.
based upon the feeds you're getting. For example, if I have two or three providers who are giving me intel, instead of scrambling around here and there, I will integrate all these three providers into my tip platform, and from tip platform I can create those threads and linkages, and based from there I can import those
Take a
things.
decision, redirect it to my SOAR, and take a call there.
Nowadays, what I would say is that nowadays the important thing is that the SOAR platforms comes with the inbuilt tip as well.
Okay.
So a few SOARs which we have seen, including ours, have a tip inbuilt.
Functionality.
Tip functionality inbuilt. So you don't have to have a third party tip platform per se, because for tip, what you are going to do, you are going to automate that process. If you see a specific thing, you create a playbook and you automate the response on that. So SOAR now,
To make it even simpler, okay, the feed is if an IP is coming in, that take the IP, go into SIM, search for it, come back. If you find something, do this. So that's kind
create
of a
the whole
playbook.
workflow. Instead of-
Workflow is created, and that's where a tip will help this thing. And most of the sources are now
coming with at least a basic version of
basic
tip
version
is
of
normally
tip
is there.
coming.
Yeah. So the use of you would have seen, you are in the market selling this, you would have seen the requirement of standalone tips
Standard tip has gone down.
reduced.
Yeah. But more people are like more looking at an integrated solution.
Automation. Everybody is going towards automation. They don't have manpower.
But then a lot of startups are coming into that. Oh, we are into cyber threat intelligence stuff, and without naming anyone and stuff. But what kind of fluff you are already seeing in market is being sold, which you have as a senior seasoned guy, like please don't do that. Don't sell this thing. This is of nobody's use.
What normally we see is the scaring business. The way people scare.
Right.
There is no point scaring people and getting your
Product sold.
Product sold is what I would definitely suggest. Go with a set use case of that how my product is going to help you in your overall strategy. Don't scare and sell is what I see, and that's what I normally is that a lot of people are naive in terms of they don't understand. I have seen a post on a dark net which mentions your name. People get, because people are afraid of bad name, bad press, so they immediately succumb to these kind of tactics. And then normally you can suggest that whenever you see these things, investigate it thoroughly. Don't do knee-jerk reaction is not required.
Yeah. And if there's a entrepreneur looking at this video right now, or seasoned player in the industry, like let me go and start a company in cyber threat intelligence, what area do you still see as an open space where somebody can go ahead, create a new company, and succeed in the cyber threat intelligence? It's like what kind of competition would you like to see?
The main thing which we see now is that a lot of those gaps have already been filled by various players, and the CTI industry is in the process of consolidation. So right now, we used to have EASM players, we have brand protection players, pure intelligence players, feed players. Now they are all combined
into
and
one,
providing into one product. And even that thing is getting combined into SIM and SOAR and all together. So I would suggest, instead of try and provide quality outcome in terms of your monitoring, if you are able to provide good outcomes where people are able to actionable intelligence is always a problem.
So then this is an important thing for a SOC operator as well, that they should get this kind of a feed and get this kind of a platform and empower their offering of SOC monitoring.
That's what it is, the need of data. Yes, definitely.
So what a young entrepreneur should do now, and if you want to know, this is interesting, I want to get into cyber threat intelligence.
So what I would say is that we spoke a lot about networking, cyber security, and a lot of different things.
Right.
Now, once you come to cyber threat intelligence, there are also multiple fields in that.
Right.
You talk about malware analysis, you talk about bot trend monitoring, you talk about hacktivism monitoring, you talk about
DNS intelligence, passive DNS,
or technical indicators, identification of those, honeypots, creating your own honey nets, create your own infrastructure. So there are a number of things which you can definitely get into and find your niche.
Your niche in that. Your area of expertise, what you can do good and make a good business out of it. But still, there are a lot of scope for people to come in and enter into the business.
There is always
do interesting, good business. Yeah. Great. Anything you would like to emphasize that, okay, if you are into this journey as an entrepreneur or as a company or as a seasoned CISO, take care of these things. If a parting thought of that side.
Parting thought again, I always, whenever I speak to a lot of people, I always talk about the operationalization part. So if you are from the provider side, ensure you provide intel in a fashion which
Can be used.
the company can utilize and action.
Don't send the IP list on a fax machine.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't help.
Doesn't help at all.
Right. At least share something which is important.
Usable.
On the consumer side, don't look at the fact that, hey, my name is not there on Darknet, I'm not worried. So you have to be worried. So if your name is not there, you should be happy. Definitely that you are not attacked yet.
Yet.
Or you are, but
So yet is the keyword there. But tomorrow it can happen, and you should be
proactive
ready for
measures always has to be taken. Don't ignore if your provider is giving you a proactive report which is not affecting you but affecting similar industry thing in a way. So you ensure your team reads that, ensure your team understands
the
that,
mistake
and
done by them. And so life is too short to do all the mistake yourself. Learn from somebody else's mistake and use that in your good, happy life. That's what the crux is. Thanks, sir, for joining us and giving these insights about multiple topics. We'll release these videos one by one and then see how the acceptance is. And I hope people would love the content coming out and the learnings which is coming out of the video.
Always pleasure. Always pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.